Good morning. I'd like to call the County Commissioners for Thursday, February 20th, 2025. It's 9 a.m. Action will be taken on all items unless otherwise noted. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. To avoid meeting disruptions, please place cell phones and beepers in the silent mode or turn them off during the meeting. The board reserves the right to take items in a different order to accomplish business in the most efficient way. Items may be combined for consideration and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Restrictions on comments by the general public. Any such restrictions must be reasonable and may restrict the time, place, and manner of the comment, but may not restrict comments based upon viewpoint. The Board of County Commissioners convening as other boards. Members of the Board of County Commissioners also serve as the Liquor Board, Central Lyon Vector Control District Board, Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board, Walker River Weed Control District Board, Willow Creek General Improvement District Board, the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board, and during this meeting we convene as any of those boards as indicated on this or a separately posted agenda. This meeting may break between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. We have is Rob on? We have a full board with Rob Jacobson missing. We're missing one commissioner. It brings us to the invocation given by Mitch Forrester of New Hope Bible Fellowship, be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So please remain standing after the invocation.
Let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, we approach you and your throne as the true and living God, the creator of heavens and earth, the one that holds all wisdom, all knowledge, and all truth. And for that, we do call upon you today. We pray that everyone speaking today would be able to do so in a calm, peaceful manner and clarity of thought. We do pray, Lord, that you will guide us according to your will. You are the one that knows the future, and we pray for the future of this county, that we can continue to live in our freedoms and prosperity that you have blessed us so much with. So with these things, we do call upon you. We pray for your perfect will to be done. We pray that we will abide by our Constitution today. We pray these things in the name of Jesus, your Son. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Hendricks, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with freedom and justice for all.
This brings us to public participation and action will be taken on any agenda on any item until it's properly agendized. It is anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited at 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action. Do we have any public comment?
Good morning. My name is Brad Johnston. I'm a resident of Mason Valley. Although I'm here for a specific agenda item later in the meeting, I want to talk about something not related to that issue. And that is there is an existing option agreement between Lyon County and the city of Yerington for the county to acquire property that sits immediately to the east of the Donald J. Trump Justice Complex, contemplating potential future expansion of the jail. That would then mean taking away ball fields that exist for the youth and ball fields that are in desperate need of updating and repair. There is private money available to improve those facilities to the east of the jail facility so that we have more ball fields and recreational facilities for the Walker River Little League in the community. However, the private money donor does not want to invest in such improvements at a substantial cost, including lights, entire new infrastructure, if potentially that property is going to be taken away from the youth for an expansion of the jail or other county facilities. I and others have tried to talk to county staff about whether or not this option agreement could be released. In particular, because projections regarding jail capacity are probably out of date. Because as I'm sure some of you know, and the sheriff's office can certainly tell us, the Nevada Supreme Court issued an opinion in Nevada that effectively created bail reform where people are released once arrested. Okay, and because of that, the capacity of the jail will likely not increase or won't be a need for an expansion. So I'm hoping that we can take a look at this option agreement on some future meeting, get public input, get updated projections on what the needs of the county will be at the jail facility to see if we can't do something for the youth of this community. Walker River Little League is an amazing program with great participation, but we need better facilities and more lighted fields. This is an opportunity to do that, and I'd hate to see it be lost if there's not a need in the future for the jail to be expanded. So I'm hoping that you would put this on a future agenda item so that it could be considered in detail about that option agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there any other public comment? Is there any online? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 5 for possible action, review and adoption of the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda as posted.
Well, second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Commissioner Casanelli. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Presentation of awards and or recognition of accomplishments. This is for presentation only. Present Sergeant Gabriel Santos, Deputy Jesse Cornett, Deputy Ian Foster, Deputy Jessica Fontudo, and Deputy Travis Masterson with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. And I'm sorry if I butchered anybody's name.
Brad Pope, Lyon County Sheriff, for the record. Mr. Keller is actually going to start with the dispatchers. They're on the next portion of that.
Let me read that one. We're going to go to 6B. For presentation only, present dispatch supervisor Eric Engelman, dispatcher Elizabeth Wade, and dispatcher Mackenzie Stretch with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. Again, I apologize if I messed up anybody's name.
Good morning. On 01/11/2025, at approximately 06:32 hours, Lyon County Sheriff's Office Dispatch Division received a 911 call from a male resident in Fernley, Nevada. The caller advised that his wife had just given birth to a baby and that the child was not breathing. LCSO dispatcher Elizabeth Wade began giving instructions for CPR. While CPR instructions were ongoing, dispatch trainee Kinsey Stretch immediately recognized the seriousness of the call and began assisting dispatcher Wade by making medical notifications and dispatching LCSO deputies and North Lyon County Fire Protection District personnel to the scene, as well as coordinating all other radio traffic and calls for service, which were coming into the dispatch center. As units were arriving on scene, dispatch was notified that a second child had been born and that the deputies were performing CPR on the second child as well. At that time, dispatch supervisor Eric Engelman requested care flight for the first baby as the notification came that the second baby had been born. Supervisor Engelman immediately called a second air medical unit, Battleborn Medevac, from Yerington. Due to the actions of all the dispatchers involved, the air medical units arrived on scene within minutes of each other. Both babies were able to be safely transported to the neonatal intensive care unit, and both babies are recovering and expected to survive. Due to the combined efforts and teamwork of Supervisor Engelman, Dispatcher Wade, and Dispatch Trainee Stretch, 2 infant lives were saved that day. Their efforts are an example of the selfless and dedicated service that exemplifies the mission of all law enforcement dispatchers. I commend them for their actions, and I'm giving them the Lyon County Life-Saving Award. So, that being said, I'll bring them up and give them their awards. You guys go. Balance it up. I'll go here.
Yeah, we might as well just stand over there.
You have to read that in again. I'll do it back in. The presentation only present Sergeant Gabriel Santos, Deputy Jesse Cornett, Deputy Ian Foster, Deputy Jessica Frantudo. Thank you. And Deputy Travis Masterson with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award.
Still Brad Pope, Lyon County Sheriff for the record. Same incident. Sergeant Santos, Deputy Cornett, Deputy Foster, Deputy Frantudo, and Deputy Masterson were dispatched to an address on Release Springs Drive in Fernley, Nevada. Reported the 25-year-old female who had just given birth to a baby that was not breathing. Sergeant Santos, Deputy Foster, and Deputy Cornett arrived on scene first and immediately took the baby and began life-saving measures on it. They worked as a team performing CPR on the baby and gathering necessary details about the pregnancy and baby to provide EMS. As they were performing CPR on the baby, the 25-year-old female spontaneously birthed the second child, who was also not breathing. So, Deputy Cornett immediately took action and cleared the nostrils of the second baby and took extra steps to clear an airway. He realized the baby was also not breathing and began performing CPR on the baby until Fly and Fire EMS arrived. Deputies worked simultaneously with EMS to perform life-saving measures on both babies while waiting for care flight to arrive. Sergeant Santos and Deputy Cornett carefully assisted the first baby in the ambulance with EMS and continued taking turns performing CPR while they were driven to the care flight landing zone at the Fernley out of town park. Deputy Foster, Deputy Frantudo, and Deputy Masterson assisted EMS with the second baby by loading it into another ambulance while simultaneously performing CPR. Deputy Frantudo assisted by driving the ambulance to the out of town park to allow full EMS personnel to tend to the babies in the back of the ambulance. After performing life-saving measures on both babies for almost an hour, the pulse was discovered on both babies and they began breathing again. They were loaded in a care flight and flown to Renown Hospital and placed in the NICU for treatment. As of January 16th, both baby boys are still alive and slowly improving daily. All the personnel involved worked excellent together as a team and helped bring these two babies back to life and brought them the swift and critical care they're needed to survive. For that, I am issuing these deputies the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. This is not our entire permanent squad, I promise.
I'll get on.
Well, that's just, I do. I'm always glad to see our law enforcement out there taking care of the citizens of this county. We know they have the training and they have the will to get out and do a job that a lot of people don't want to do. In this case, they've done a fantastic job of saving a couple of our new citizens, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for all your efforts. Dispatchers, same thing. You're on the phone. What a tough job. But you did a fantastic job this time.
Yeah, just echoing Commissioner that Hockaday, not all the stories we hear involving you folks turn out as well as this one. So it's nice that they were equipped to take care of the situation and great job. Thank you.
Yes, I think we're really blessed to have such outstanding deputies, and our whole sheriff's department is just really top notch.
I echo what my fellow commissioners have said, and I'm also very proud to live in Lyon County with you guys supporting us. So you guys be proud too. Thank you. Okay. 7, Commissioners County Manager Report. Start with Commissioner Hockaday.
Okay, meetings. My Walker River Irrigation District meeting, good to discuss the weather, the water, irrigation, our water supply at Topaz and over Bridgeport. Things are moving along. Our snowpack is supposedly 95 to 100% for this time. Hopefully we'll get more. Had quite a bit of flooding over in Smith Valley, so I know this last rainstorm gave us a lot of rain, and we're always welcome. It's always welcome. I also attended the Planning Commission meeting, had several items on the agenda there that were interesting. I want to thank our county manager, Andrew Haskin, for all of his help on several meetings and issues that we discussed a couple of times over the last 2 weeks. And for all of the dozens of phone calls I've received in the last couple of weeks, thank you all for being participants in county business and bringing it up to the commissioners, or at least me. I'm not sure whoever got the same calls, but do appreciate your interest in things that are going on in the county.
Commissioner Castanelli.
Thank you. I attended the Great Valley Conservation District, and we discussed an upcoming contract that they have for bank stabilization along Carson River there. And there's been a delay, some red tape in that contract. So there's some concern that they won't get it done before the spring runoff. And so staff is working on that. Commissioner Hendricks and I and county manager met with the folks at Campo, and we were able to relay our vision for the Highway 50 corridor with them. So appreciated the time that we had with them. I also attended the Campo board meeting, and we approved a contract for it's a 20-year planning plan, for what would be on the horizon, for the next 20 years. Attended the Northern Nevada Development Authority board meeting, and there's some exciting things potentially for Lyon County. There looks like there may be a new equipment rental business locating in Mound House, so we're excited about that. And there's a couple of potential businesses relocating that are looking in the Dayton industrial park at some of the existing buildings there. So it'd be nice, hopefully something comes to fruition there to fill some of those vacancies. So that's it.
Commissioner Hendricks.
First of all, I want to congratulate Taylor Allison for getting an award, the Nevada Emergency Preparedness President's Partner of the Year Award. So congratulations to her. Attended the Silver Springs Advisory Board, met with Campo with Commissioner Casanelli. Attended the National Association of Counties Public Lands Steering Committee meeting, and we've prepared our resolutions to bring forward at the upcoming legislative conference in DC. Attended the Quad County Legislative meeting, and also attended the legislature itself and met with our representatives there to forward what we want to come out of this session. And last night I attended the Carson Water Subconservancy District Board.
Okay, I attended the Franklin City Council, the National NACO Rural Action Caucus to prepare for their legislative session conference in Washington, D.C. I attended the Nevada Association of Counties Legislative Committee, Cobb County Legislative Committee, and then I met with the senators, Zena and Gwen, with our county coalition to discuss our bill request, and we'll let the county manager talk about that one. So move on to the county manager report.
Good morning, Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So I have been extremely busy the last couple of weeks. I think I spent maybe an hour behind at my desk in that time frame. Different meetings, and obviously the legislature is in session, so that has taken up some time too. So just wanted to highlight a few. I met with OSIT, the Nevada Broadband Office, yesterday with our team. So they're working on rolling out their broadband infrastructure project, their middle mile project that's getting ready to happen. And so they're going to be adding, I think they said, over 3,000 homes in Lyon County to broadband over the next several years. And so that's pretty good. It's a project we've been working on with them for a while. Also had a meeting with the FAA regarding the Silver Springs Airport and our airport capital improvement plan for the next 5 years. And so going over projects with them and reviewing that. That's a meeting that happens annually. So it was a good meeting, and we're moving forward on some of that. I know Campo was already mentioned. We met with Campo regarding the Highway 50, the East Highway 50 corridor study, and we talked about a number of other things as well. But pretty excited about that. There's a survey link that I'll be getting out to residents through our Facebook page and everything else to make sure that folks can have their input on that. But it was a really good meeting, and we were able to communicate our priorities as it relates to Highway 50 through Mound House. The project is largely focused on East 50 and Carson City, but it does extend all the way up to 341 in Mound House. So that was good. And then, yeah, you mentioned SB 53. So we will be having a hearing on that in Senate Growth and Finance next Wednesday at 3:30. So I'm pretty excited about that. We'll SB 53 will give counties and local governments more. It'll allow us to notify GPS companies when there's an emergency issue on a roadway, so that we can route traffic around that more efficiently. Can't tell you how many times you put up a road close sign or something and people still go around it saying, well, this is where my GPS says I need to go. So we're working with them on that. Also wanted to congratulate Taylor Allison on her award. So thank you for that. And then finally, today is Aaron Lopez's last commission meeting as our or as my administrative assistant. She is moving on to the Human Services Department as their new analyst, program analyst. And so I just wanted to recognize her. She's been an administrative assistant here for 8 years now. So so very happy for Aaron and moving on. So that I'm happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Not really a question, but I know I had you rolled at your desk for more than an hour, so I think you were at your desk for more than an hour.
You are right.
Yeah, a couple of issues there, we had long discussions about,
That was the hour that I was.
but I do appreciate you giving me that amount of time to deal with some of these issues because they are important in the district. Also, sad to see Karen leaving. She's been a pleasure to work with for the last 4 years, and we will, of course, miss her in the commission chamber here. So.
Absolutely.
I'd like to comment as well. Aaron's been very helpful, probably the most helpful staff person here over the years, and just want to congratulate her and wish her well on her upcoming endeavor.
Yes, I too would. Thank you for all that you've done for us. You make transitioning into this job very simple and easy, and you will absolutely be missed.
And I too want to thank Erin for her help. I've known her since she started here in that office because of the advisory boards. She's really done a lot for our advisory boards for every community. So thank you very much, and kind of missing you in here, but it's a move up, so that's good.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to, you mentioned OSIT. And do you want to tell everybody what OSIT is?
It's the Office of Science and Innovation and Technology, but they are responsible for broadband in the state. And so they are, they're working on a ton of broadband projects right now, all the federal money that came down, trying to connect rural communities to broadband. So
For connectability, yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Move on to elected officials reports. For report only. Oh, no. Is there any elected officials? Sheriff Pope.
Good morning, Sheriff Brad Pope for the record again. Last week was pretty tough for the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. We had a very tragic incident, very traumatic. We live it here, but the deputies that experienced that incident, probably the worst thing you can see as a law enforcement officer. We're getting them all the mental health help we can. And, I don't know how, but hopefully they bounce back from that. And they come back to work, you know, when they're ready. So get them all the mental health resources we can. And getting them, just getting them a lot of help. On another note, one of the goals of the administration was to revamp our sex offender task force. When we took over, what was happening is sex offenders were coming in out of compliance, and substations were just registering them into compliance. We've taken the stance now that 1 minute out of compliance is too long, and now those people are arrested. So taking a much more aggressive approach with the sex offenders now that we have the task force revamped. And the commander in charge of that likes to press release every single arrest. So you guys will see a lot of press releases on that. But we're more aggressive on the approach. We're actually contacting the registered sex offenders in the county a lot more than what they're used to. We fielded some complaints about it, but no, it's not illegal, and those complaints have been tossed out. So you guys might receive some complaints, not sure, but just giving you a heads up. Other than that, nothing new to report.
Thank you. Any other elected officials? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointed officials reports. Any appointed officials?
Good morning, Gavin Anderson, Lyon County Community Development Director. Just wanted to give a brief update on 85 Park, which we recently declared a public nuisance. So the property is in the ongoing process of being cleaned up by the contractor. It's about 90% there. They plan on hitting it again Monday or Tuesday next week. Everything's gone really smoothly. Joseph Sanchez has been on site at all times. Sheriff's Office has been on site at all times too, helping us mediate those contacts between the property owner and the contractor, but everything's going smoothly and the process is continuing.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other appointed officials reports? Not seeing anybody online. Moving to advisory board reports.
Just for the record, I guess I should give one more report before I jump out of here, but I just wanted to thank all the advisory boards for all of their I guess what I want to say is cooperation and help and patience with how hard it has been to get some of the stuff done that we do with them. So I really appreciate that, and I will always be around to help. So we're going to transition. And while we're doing that, I'm not going to turn off my email. So they will still use the county clerk emails that we have set up. It still goes to a group of us. So we'll still help and make sure they get the support they need. So just wanted to make that clear. And if you guys have any questions for me about that.
Any questions?
And I did want to thank Andrew. I appreciate your support over the last few years. It's been really great, and we've had some growing pains. We went through them. I really appreciate your support and understanding. And I really appreciate the board over the years and the board's past, the other commissioners too. And it's been great. It's bittersweet to leave. And I want to thank Jeff for believing in me. So I'm gonna leave before I cry. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can move on to number 11, consent agenda. Action will take on all items. Matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without an extensive hearing. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Does anybody want to pull an item? Anybody from the public? And I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 11A through 11J.
Second. And a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, seconded by Commissioner Casanelli. Those in favor say aye. Okay. Motion passes 4-0. Brings us to number 12, public hearing. Right. Yep. Public hearing. 12A for possible action to approve the request for Libracella for a conditional use permit for an approximately 4.7 miles long 345 kV generation tile line GenTie connecting the Libracella project to the Fort Churchill substation on State of Nevada and Bureau of Land Management lands located north and east of the existing Fort Churchill substation in Mason Valley on portions of 5 parcels measuring approximately 113.8 acres out of a total acreage of approximately 17,748.13 acres. APNs 014091107, 014131101, 014141101, 03, and 04. Well, Z 124.071.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lisa Nash, Senior Planner. Thank you for introducing the project. The parcels are located, for the CUP, the parcels are located on the north side of Sierra Bay, approximately 2.25 miles east of Highway 95 alternate and about 9.5 miles north of Harrington. 3 of the parcels are owned by BLM land. You can see them marked on the map, and 2 parcels are owned by the state of Nevada. Access is via Sierra Way to get into this area where the GenTie lines are going to tie into the existing or the new Fort Churchill substations. All right, So the 5 parcels will have approximately 4.7 miles of the transmission lines, call it, the applicant calls them the GenTie, crossing through 113.8 acres. The actual line that is outside of the master plan utility corridors is shown there in blue on the plan. The lines would be are planned to be less than 200 feet in height and have a maximum 200-foot easement width. This portion of the project would have unpaved access drives for maintenance and repairs along the lines. So in Lyon County, a CUP is required for any power transmission line 660 kilovolts or greater within the RR5 zoning outside of a master plan utility corridor. Okay. Sure, I didn't go too far. So I'm going to go into some more detail about this and why it ended up where it is. So the proposed alignment for the transmission lines here is north of the existing master plan utility corridor. The master plan utility corridor on that map is the yellowish mustard color lines. Master plan utility corridors were put in with pretty broad strokes. They're 3,500 feet wide in most areas. And it isn't until we get into the depths of a project when someone comes forward an application that we actually look at all the details, the wildlife, the accessibility, the soils, everything that goes into putting in a line. So the county allows for a CUP to be made, an application to be made when you are outside the master plan utility corridors, because they are broad planning broad planning tool. They're not exactly where every line is going to fit in, even at a 3,500-foot width. So in this area with that south line you can see going across, the master plan utility corridor actually runs through the Mason Valley Wildlife Management Area along an existing right-of-way of one line. We have had NDOW look at this. They provided some conditions that we've added into the CUP. And we've also asked, why did this alignment end up outside of the master plan utility corridor? Well, part of it is to minimize the impacts to the natural resources, the wildlife there. And it also is why NDOW encouraged or requested that Nevada Energy realign. So the line that you see on here matches the previously approved Nevada Energy Green Link line that was approved last year. So the whole intent is to avoid the Mason Valley Wildlife Management Area as much as possible and minimize the impacts in an area by keeping everything aligned with an already approved with the already approved Nevada Energy alignments, reducing impacts by keeping lines together. So in essence, we're kind of redefining the corridor in that area. So all these items that are, when something like this comes in, we do try to look at the adjustments needed to correct all the interests to the best of all the regulatory agencies' abilities. NDOW has submitted a letter to you, which you all, I think, just got yesterday, but they will be here as well if you have any questions directly for them and they want to make a public comment during that period. But I wanted to just go in a little bit about why this is outside the alignment. And we did ask the applicant after the planning commission to go, to explain and to reach out to NDOW and double check that there was a reason we needed to go outside the proposed corridor here. So I have this up here to show in more detail. The red outline is the properties we're talking about. And this shows the corridors in the area and their relationship and our property in relationship to the master plan utility corridor. Anything falling outside of these corridors, any lines at all, is what brings the CUP request into the county. So of course, industries try to stay within the corridors as much as possible. So here's our table of allowed uses under RR20. The zoning, I'll do my usual presentation of issues of the master plan and zoning in just a moment, but I wanted to show that we do allow for a CUP when something is outside of the master plan utility corridors. And in addition, the CUP will set conditions upon this project. They will have to come back as well for an ADR before they can begin any construction, which allows us to actually look at proposed plans in more detail that are going to show the construction, all the details, and allow us yet another chance to put additional conditions on this project. So moving on, I'm going to give a little overview as well. The proposed solar site is going to be located in Mineral County. It's the little map off to the right shows the access road to the proposed solar site. And so in order to access the solar site within Mineral County, they do have to go through Lyon County, and a lot of the traffic is going to come down 208 to East Walker Road to where it runs into Reese and Reese River Road and ultimately onto the site. BLM put some conditions upon them when they did their EIS, and they looked at their alternatives that they could go, and they chose a combination of alternatives, and one involved redirecting at least 25% of the proposed construction traffic and such along other routes. So not 100% of the traffic will go along East Walker Road per the BLM requirements. And in the EIS documents that the applicant prepared, they did mention that paving it was an option. It was not mandated by BLM that I can find anywhere, and if anybody can correct me, let me know, but it does look like paving is an option, at least through the BLM lands, and then depending on what they can work out with the county and private owners. So these two projects have two different jurisdictions and approvals. Mineral County had to give a special use permit to the solar field, and we have to give a CUP, conditional use permit, for the lines that are outside of our master corridor, utility corridor. So we feel we have addressed as many of the impacts to the best of our ability in the staff report, and we added conditions to try to mitigate the impacts. This was done with all the surrounding agencies, all the departments, internal, looking at the BLM reports, and going and talking to the public and seeing what it was, what they were looking for, and how we could best protect our residents. So County Manager Haskins is going to address more on the access road conditions and the situation with East Walker Road after I'm done with my presentation. So, oh, lastly, I did want to mention, BLM requires, and as do we, that the applicant work with Lyon County to decide to figure out how the road's going to be prepared and safe for travel, as well as entering into a maintenance agreement with us, whether it is paved or left as dirt and provided regular grading and dust preventatives added, whichever route is decided and whichever route this proceeds with, they are required by that under their EIS, and we require it as well. So the two parcels are located for, now the bulk of the CUP focus is on the lines running outside of the master utility corridor. So I'm going to address that in the zoning. The two of the parcels are located within the Mason Valley land use, which you can see on the left. And they are considered to be part of the Mason Valley Rural Character District and are within agricultural land use designations. The remaining three parcels are shown on the right-hand map, and they're located within the General Land Use North Plan, which does not have an associated character district. This is the lands mainly north of this area on up to where it bumps into Fernley, all falls within the north general land use. So the three parcels are within the public land designated areas in that land use area. So moving on to the zoning. The zonings for the parcel under Title 10 are RR5, which is 5th Rural Residential District, 20 acres. And per the consistency matrix, the RR5 district has a corresponding Title 15 district of RR20, which is Rural Residential 20-acre minimum. This is what I showed the land use table earlier. These lines are allowed within an RR20 zoning district as long as they can obtain a CUP. Oops. Okay. So I have done this a little different. I'm going to go into more detail of my findings so we can discuss it because it's been brought up in questions and concerns. So I have listed all the findings on 2 slides here, so that if we need to refer back to them later, we can see what the findings are. And this is also applicable as the planning commission referred to some of these findings in their decision. There we go. All right, so I'm not going to try to go into too much detail, but I did want to highlight more than I usually do is in finding A, we're looking at that it's consistent with the policies of the master plan and that it fits the applicable zoning and master plan districts. So the use is consistent within the master plan's contemplated uses with the designation of agriculture and public land within a rural character district. I looked at a number of goals and items in the master plan itself to see, is this in conflict with it? Does it fit? And my finding was it does fit because under master plan goal FS5 utility corridors, this section specifically addresses protection of natural resources, and the chosen alignment does meet that goal. Moving it outside of the Mason Valley Wildlife Area clearly is protecting those interests, and it does seem that the alignment of those lines meets the goals of the master plan. Policy FS53 also requires that utility corridors can't conflict with the existing or planned utility corridors, infrastructure, neighborhoods, etc. And they have to be located to minimize conflicts with any residential and commercial development. In this area, there are no residential developments per se. There's an isolated residence here and there, but there is no large development. Mainly this area is agriculture and industrial. So it seems very appropriate for this to be here. And it is aligning with the other utilities that are going through that area. It is staying so that we don't have lines running just everywhere across that part of the county. And so I feel it does meet this requirement, and what this was chosen to align with the other utility projects that are coming in. Now, under B, we're talking about character and integrity of existing development in neighborhoods and what they're going to do to mitigate development. So being that there's no developed residential neighborhoods adjacent to the proposed lines, and the proposed transition line is primarily located within an existing BLM transmission line for most of its run, it does seem to meet this finding. And the application, when we now look at the south part where we're looking at the road of East Walker Road, they are required to enter into a road maintenance and traffic management agreement with the county for the area of the construction lines and East Walker Road. So we'll get into that more later, but we are cognizant that that is an issue. Yeah, thank you. It stopped again. So the finding C is will not generate vehicular traffic that can't be accommodated by the existing planned or conditioned roadway and infrastructure. Again, looking at the bulk of the CUP, the main portion, which is the lines itself, they do not, they can be accommodated by the existing roads. They are going to use the same roads that are going to be used for the Nevada Energy lines that are coming in. They're the roads that access the Fort Churchill substation, and they would not greatly exceed the expected traffic on those roads. The roads to the proposed solar facility, East Walker Road, is going to need improvements and maintenance during the construction. There is going to be an impact. There are going to be a heavy traffic load coming through there. So whether they have to make some improvements to the drainage, whether or not it is paved, depends a lot on this board and the decisions you make today. But they are not going to be able to just run traffic without making improvements of one sort or another to a good portion of East Walker Road. So under D, it talks about the roadway improvements, traffic control devices, and the conditions of approval do address this, and having to have, again, a maintenance agreement and a traffic management plan would address any traffic control devices. Their EIS specifically states that they would add devices to slow traffic, because I know speed can be a concern when pavement goes in and such in our county. We've seen that in many places. So part of their improvements would include something to provide speed control as well. So under E, we're looking at adverse effects, including visual and noise of the proposed conditional use on adjacent properties. The location of the gen tie lines and the lack of existing residential neighborhoods nearby will ensure that that portion will not have visual or noise impacts on adjacent neighborhoods by design. The impacts on East Walker Road, there will be impacts. There will be additional noise from traffic. There will be impacts on the neighbors from dust if it remains unpaved, although they do have to keep up with that. But we feel that the conditions and what they will have to do, what they will be required to do, and the agreements we will enter into with them, if this is approved, will mitigate those adverse effects, and this finding can be met. Because the intent is to address the adverse effects. We're not saying we can get rid of all of them, and code doesn't expect that either. So under F, this is that it's just stating the proposed conditional use will comply with all the additional standards we put on it, and it meets the chapter and the title of proposed conditional uses within the RR20 zoning district, as well as adequate public facilities policies of this title. We do feel that the CUP complies with the code section. Specifically, they have to meet everything in the power transmission line section, CUP requirements, public facilities policies. We feel there's little impact from the transmission lines, and the conditions by the CUP serve to mitigate the impacts on the road portion. Lastly, G, the proposed conditional use will not be material detrimental to public health, safety, and welfare, and will not result in material damage or prejudice to other properties in the vicinity. The conditions of approval we've added to the CUP are intended to address requirements to protect the residents of Lyon County. The transmission line conditions limit any impacts on surrounding properties, and additionally, requiring additional contact conditions for the roadway improvements will assist in mitigating the effects of the construction on the proposed solar field. So at the December 10th, 2024 Planning Commission, there was a motion to approve, and a vote of 3-4. The motion did not pass and did not carry. So the commission made a recommendation to you of denial for the CUP request. Their recommendation of denial was based on findings B, C, D, E, and G. Basically, they were looking at the traffic and the impacts on the neighboring properties. And they were concerned about the realignment because we didn't have as much information about that at that point. So that's the reasoning that they stated for their denial, or their recommendation of denial. And at this point, unless you have specific questions to me, I'd like to turn it over to County Manager Haskins to provide some additional information on the road.
Do we have any
I'll be
questions for?
available. Do you want to wait and ask those questions after you hear this?
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So I did want to address East Walker Road because there has been a number of letters flying around from different attorneys and different parties on this. And so I did want to talk a little bit about the ownership of East Walker Road and provide some clarification to the board on that. Next slide, please. So, the letters cited a bunch of different court cases and whatnot, and really it's much more simple than NRS 405.191 defines what a public road is. And it says, as used in NRS 405.193 and 405.195, and it is used in other places in NRS. A public road includes a United States highway, a state highway, or a main, general, or minor county road, and any other way laid out or maintained by any governmental agency. Notice it doesn't say and or at the, or it doesn't say or at the end of that. The second one doesn't really apply. That's more about it. NRS 2477 roads, but I did include it there. But number 3 here is any way which is shown upon any plat, subdivision, addition, parcel map, or record of survey of any county, city, town, or portion thereof duly recorded or filed in the office of the county recorder, and which is not specifically therein designated as a private road. So basically, if it's not designated on a map as a private road, it is a public road. or a non-public road in any way which is described in a duly recorded conveyance as a public road or is reserved thereof thereby for public road purposes, or which is described by words of similar import. So I want to just highlight those two sections in an RS. Next slide, please. This is parcel map 232-929. This was recorded. Actually, I didn't include the date on this one. I apologize. Is this did my oh, okay, all right. Anyway, at the top of this, did the little highlights get included in the when it got copied over? Okay, wasn't in this one. All right, that's okay. I had it all highlighted out for you guys, sorry. But if you look at the top of the image here, it clearly shows East Walker River Road. At the top of this parcel map here, there are no notes making it a private road. And obviously this is just a snippet of that map, but there were no notes on any portion of that map making this a private road. Next slide, please. Parcel map 247330 was recorded in 2000. This one also shows East Walker Road down at the bottom this time. I had highlighted it, apologize. But you can see East Walker Road here. You can also see it, it's 50 feet for East Walker Road on the side of that map. And again, no notes that it is a private road. Next slide, please. This is a boundary line adjustment from 2004. This also shows East Walker Road there. And this one was actually signed by the current property owners of this property. Next slide, please. This is a record of survey from 2003. This is record of survey 292840, showing East Walker River Road going through the property. This was also prepared for the current property owners. Slide, please. You remember that a county or a government agency maintaining a road also makes that a public road. These are our road records going back to 1977, showing when we were grading East Walker Road in 1977. The reason that this only goes back to 1977 is because that's as far as our records go back. But you can clearly see this covers a 2-year period in the late 70s of our maintenance. So we have been maintaining it for at least that long. Next slide. Oh, sorry. Guess I didn't have the slide. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about condition 9 and why it says that the applicant has to make an effort to get a dedicated right of way through there. If it's a public road, how come there isn't a dedicated right of way? Well, it's very likely that this road predates that process, and that's why there's no dedication there. This map here, you might recognize, normally hangs in my office. It's a map of Nevada, and it's from early 1920s, somewhere between 1921 and 1923. This map actually shows East Walker Road as a main road going to between Yerington and Aurora. That road has been there for at least 100 years. So, like I said, it's very likely that that predates that process, and that's why there's no dedication. We figured that because there may not be an agreement between the property owners as to whether it should be paved or not, that we leave it up to them. Libra can work with the property owners to try and get that dedication, and if they can't, then it doesn't get paved. Now, technically, because it's a public road and because the map shows 50 feet, I don't believe that we do need that. However, that is our standard process, and I think we could go and pave it if we wanted to, but I think that sticking with our standard process is probably a better option. With that, I can answer any questions about the road.
Any questions?
Not really a question, but I do appreciate you going over this. We've discussed it significantly, and as I said, in your office. I do appreciate the late backup from Endow. We talked about that too, and you brought that up, the letter stating that they do plan to basically abandon the corridor that they have and move it into the corridor that they're requiring Libra to follow. Because that was a stumbling block for me as to why are we not following that corridor, and obviously it's been discussed to some extent. with Endow and Nevada Energy, and everybody's pretty much agreed that eventually they will all go that route, which is the one that we're looking at for the gym tie today. But I do appreciate all your input and the fact that you presented the information to the commission today.
I do have one more thing that I did want to talk about. The applicant had provided, and it was included as late backup, a community benefits agreement. We did not, staff has not worked with Libra on that or Reba on that at all. That was the first time that we had seen that. As far as we are concerned, there is no community benefits agreement, and that should not be considered by the board as a part of this application. So I do want to make sure that I mention that. I know that they plan on talking about that a little bit further, because that was part of a requirement from BLM, and that's why that was seen there. So I'll let them provide that clarification, but I do want to let the board know that as you're making this decision today, that should not be included as a part of your decision.
Any questions for Andrew?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. When you say community agreements, does that include agreements, potential agreements with fire service, things like that?
So so today's CUP application is just for the power lines. It's not for the solar field that is in Mineral County. Those agreements will be separate. There's a representative from the Fire Protection District here to talk about that. But this is only for a small section of power lines. So
Gotcha.
that's why, that's already within the Fire Protection District, I believe. So.
Any more questions?
Yeah, Lisa mentioned a traffic mitigation plan. What all is involved in that?
You want to answer that question, or you want to leave it? I know the applicant has a presentation too that might be.
Okay,
covered.
I'll wait till I hear it all. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, anything else?
No, we'll move on to the applicant's presentation.
Good morning. Honorable Board of County Commissioners. For the record, my name is Ricardo Groff, co-owner of Arevia Power, an American business. We are the owners of the Libra Solar Project. This brief presentation is intended to summarize the overall scope of the project, the purpose of the conditional use permit, and to provide you all with a narrative of when, how, and why we started this project, including all our efforts to date. I've got a number of slides here that I'll go through quickly, along with my colleague, Chris Brooks. Please feel free to stop us at any time to ask any questions you might have. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to introduce you to the team I have with us today. Chris Brooks, our Executive Vice President of External Affairs with Arevia Power. David Lundgren, Vice President of Development with Arevia Power. Rafik Albert, Executive Vice President of Lands and Permitting with Arevia Power. Bobby Earnhardt with R&R Partners, a consultant of ours. Mike Brown, retired fire chief with North Lake Tahoe Fire, working with R&R Partners, consultant of ours. Scott Whittemore, Senior Vice President of Development Services with Energy Project Solutions. And then Musa Suba Tabor, he's a project manager with Energy Project Solutions. First slide, please. The Libra Solar Project is a 700 megawatt photovoltaic, 700 megawatt battery storage project, and approximately 24-mile gen-tie located in both Lyon and Mineral counties. We are here today because approximately 4.7 miles of the gen-tie is located outside of county designated utility corridor, as Lisa mentioned, as identified in BLM or county planning documents. We have reviewed the conditions of approval and believe that Libra Solar has met conditions of approval. And to note, this Board of County Commissioners is no stranger to CUPs that's issued in the past. For example, Lux Solar, which was approved by the Board of County Commissioners in March of 2023. Next slide. The Libra Solar project would generate an approximate $100.6 million of economic impact during construction. We're anticipating the project will be built over a 2-year period with an additional $287,000 in direct sales tax from the transmission line during construction. The project will continue will contribute to upwards of 152 direct jobs during construction here in Lyon County. And approximately, it'll have a $19.3 million per year effect economically during its 35-year operational phase. Next slide. I founded the company in 2016 with my partner, Mark Boyajian. Our vision was to, and we're a US-based company, and our vision was to advance renewable energy projects on a large scale in Nevada and the West. We were responsible for the development of the Gemini Solar Project in Clark County, which is of equal size than the Lieber Solar Project, so very experienced in doing this. Gemini was actually developed and began construction during the first Trump administration. Next slide. As you can see in this figure, the solar field and Genti are sited in a remote area in both Lyon and Mineral counties. The site was chosen due to the relatively low conflicts with biological, cultural, and visual resources and recreational uses. The project's transmission line, as Lisa mentioned, follows perpendicular to the Greenlink transmission line into the new Walker River substation. That's the new Fort Churchill substation. Next slide. We started our project screening and investigation for the project in early 2020. So we've been doing this for a while now. This included extensive technical studies for biological, cultural, and visual resources, coordinated with multiple state and federal agencies. We have coordinated with the grazing operator to ensure his operations were not impeded as a part of our project. We also engaged very closely with the Walker River Tribe on multiple occasions since 2020 through our own efforts, and as well the Section 106 consultation process that the BLM holds for them. Next slide. The Lieber Solar Project was a 5-year effort that brought us here today. We began engagement with Lyon County, Mineral County, and the BLM and other stakeholders in 2020. The project has gone through a variety of permitting and approval processes with Mineral County, BLM, and the PUCN, the regulator for the state. Lieber has an interconnection agreement with NV Energy at the Walker River substation, and also has a power purchase agreement with NV Energy at the Walker River substation. And the project is going to start construction at the end of this year and hit commercial operations by the end of 2027. Lieber, all of the power that Lieber will provide will serve all of the ratepayers in Nevada. Next slide. Again, Lieber's power will stay in Nevada. Just want to be clear on that. Lieber Solar was selected by NV Energy through a competitive all-source RFP process that includes all technologies, and was chosen based on lowest cost and overall benefits for Nevada. The Lieber project will provide more grid stability in the northern part of the state and serve Lyon County and the surrounding community load centers, meaning the consumption will stay locally. Next slide. Per the conditions of approval, Lieber will pave a portion of East Walker Road from Highway 208 to Reese River Road. We are estimating that the total cost will be $7.3 million in improvements to that road based on the conditions. This improvement will address access for residents, ranchers, visitors to the park and public lands, reduce dust, and address speed and drainage issues that currently exist. Next slide. We engaged extensively with the Nevada Department of Wildlife, who's here today, who wanted to ensure any new proposed lines would reroute outside of the Mason Valley Wildlife Management Area. There's a comment letter, as Lisa mentioned, that supports all of our efforts in this route. And as you can see, Lieber's Genti route runs parallel to the Greenlink transmission line. Next slide. And to reiterate, the conditions of approval require the Lieber Solar Project to pave 24-foot paving of the road, 2 feet wide shoulders on either side, improve cattle guards, culverts, enter into a road maintenance agreement with the county, and will require us to meet all county and international fire code standards. And to be clear, Arevia addressed concerns around traffic and noise with local stakeholders and community leaders, and will continue to engage the community and the neighbors with these concerns. Next slide, please. Libra, as you can see where the alignment is magenta, was required to reroute outside of bi-state sage grouse habitat, which also then affected the access road that was considered during the EIS process that was coming in from the Mineral County side. Because of those impacts and because of the impassable nature of that road, that was one of those access points that BLM did not consider as viable. Now, Chris spent a lot of time on these roads, and he's here to explain the rest of the slides. Chris?
Chris Brooks, Arevia Power, good morning. Next slide, please. As you can see, in addition to the issues with bi-state sage grouse, the Walker River Paiute tribal lands and the BLM, this road is almost impassable even in a good four-wheel drive vehicle. And that was under the best of weather conditions. And I've driven that road myself a couple of times. That's me in the picture there next to the ditch. And next slide, please. In addition to early disqualification of that route for Mineral County, other routes and measures were evaluated, reviewed, studied, and discussed during the entire NEPA process with the BLM. Minister Road was evaluated and was rejected by the Nevada State Parks for the impacts that it would have on the park and the thousands of visitors that it receives every year. To alleviate construction traffic, our EIS allows for up to 25% of passenger vehicle traffic could follow unpaved access roads on BLM lands from Highway 95 to the project site. And in addition to that, a park and ride program designed to reduce daily worker vehicular traffic to the project site is required and will be provided. Next slide, please. As conditions of our EIS from the BLM, the project must mitigate for impacts created by construction by measures such as workforce and housing and transportation plan that require alternative transportation options to include carpools, park and rides, buses, and shuttles from if spots where they can meet up and then where we can transport them to the site in the most efficient manner with the least amount of vehicles. Cooperative services agreements between the fire, law enforcement, and emergency services providers in Lyon and Mineral counties will be required. And traffic management plans that has travel routes, traffic control measures, and enforcement measures that our contractors will be bound to. Once our engineering, procurement, and construction contractor is selected very soon, they will perform a labor, housing, and transportation study that will look at when the folks will be working on it, where they'll be coming from, and how we can best way to house them and move the workforce to the project site. These are things that Arevia Power and our contractors have done on other projects, such as the similarly sized Gemini Solar project that we developed down in Southern Nevada. That's operational right now, and it was really similar in size to this, in size and scope. Many of the mitigation measures required by the EIS will be addressed in a proposed community benefits agreement. Next slide, please. So the construction activity on this process starts with the notice to proceed from the BLM in approximately July of 2025 this year. Now, I think it's important to note that the BLM will require a decommissioning bond put in place by the company before they will issue that notice to proceed. That a bond that covers how we would decommission this project at the end of its usable life, returning the land back to where it was. We will start construction in roughly November of 2025 with some early construction activities such as roadway improvements to get to the site starting as soon as mid-2025. The construction will take approximately 2 years, and with the bulk of that construction happening towards the middle and end of the project. And we anticipate being able to have energization testing in June of 2027 with our goal to have our contract to have it online and operational in December of 2027. Next slide, please. I'd like to just Ricardo briefly touched on it, but I would like to dive in just a little bit deeper on some of the economic benefits to Lyon County specifically that this overall project would have. Direct tax benefits or direct tax to the county from the transmission line piece of the project alone to in the tune of $2.5 million in property tax, as well as $287,000 in sales tax directly to the county just for the piece of the transmission going through the county. In addition to that, total economic impact of up to $100 million to Lyon County, including indirect and induced spending, and $1.4 million of local sales tax during the construction of the project. And we will have total economic impact of up to $19 million per year and $215,000 of local sales tax per year every year during the life and operation of the project. We anticipate that this project will create 152 jobs in Lyon County during construction. The additional jobs would come from other counties and surrounding areas, but we feel that based on our analysis, 152 jobs would be created would be here from or in Lyon County during the construction project. As a result of our agreement with the state of Nevada, we have, I believe it is up to a minimum of 50% of the workers on this project during its construction operation have to be Nevada residents. And we have in place, we're working with Western Nevada College. We have, as a result of our contract with NV Energy, we have a agreement in place with the IBEW Electrical Union, Local 401 and Local 1245, as well as the laborers, Local 169, and their apprenticeship programs to help accommodate that workforce and the training that goes into that workforce. In addition to that, there will be 15 full-time jobs, full-time careers that will be created to operate the plant. And we are working with, again, Western Nevada College and the Lyon County School District and those labor unions to make sure that those jobs, to the best of our abilities, come right here from Lyon County. And there will be multiple subcontractors, local and from other parts, that will help support that as well. Next slide, please. Over the last 2 years, or over 2 years ago, we started working with neighbors and folks who use that land for recreation and for their livelihood. So we collaborated with the local ranchers to improve water infrastructure and rangeland improvements, and working to have better access to their rangeland from improved roads, as well as compensation for lost AUMs where AUMs were lost in the BLM permitting. We also partnered with the off-highway vehicle community to make sure that the access to trails and OHV recreation opportunities are not limited by the project, but are improved by it. We've been collaborating with the Walker River Paiute tribe every step of the way, and we've had multiple conversations with neighbors who will be most impacted by the temporary construction traffic. And we will continue to work with those neighbors through the rest of the development and construction and operation of the Libra Solar project. Next slide, please. I just wanted to highlight some of the amazing organizations that we've met over the last years. Arevia Power and our Libra Solar project have enjoyed getting to know many of the people and organizations that are supporting this local community. And we are proud to support those organizations as well. Such organizations such as the organizations that provide education and opportunities for children in Lyon County, the Boys and Girls Club of Mason Valley, the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows in Fernley, the Boys and Girls Club out at Schurz for the Walker River Paiute tribe, through a Child's Eyes Foundation, the Walker River Little League, and the Lyon County School District. Business and civic groups such as Yerington Chamber, Yerington Main Street Committee, the Rotary Club, and the Lyon County Fair and Rodeo, and then off-road tourism and recreation groups and events through the Nevada Off-Road Association, the Valley Off-Road Racing Association, and Farmies Off-Road Park in Yerington, as well as Healthy Communities Coalition's Yerington Food Pantry for community members who need a little help feeding their families. Next slide, please. Okay. All right.
Can we remove him? That's not allowed in here.
And so this is last slide, and over the course of many months, We've had several conversations with various county agencies to understand areas of opportunity for investment and in the community because of the Libra Solar project. In addition to the tax revenues and economic activity in the county, and as a requirement of the BLM's EIS for the project to mitigate for potential impacts to Lyon County during construction and operation, we are proposing a community benefits agreement to invest in Lyon County through the Mason Valley Fire District, the Lyon County Sheriff's Department, the Rural Medevac Alliance, and as well as Lyon County's capital improvements funds and Lyon County School District's workforce development and career readiness programs. And so that would be part of a proposed community benefits agreement to address some of those issues. So I want to thank everybody for allowing us to present our Libra Solar project this morning. Ricardo, myself, and the rest of our team are here to answer any questions whatsoever. And I thank you for your time.
Sure. Now with that, since we had that interruption, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that this is for the benefit of the commission to hear everything. It's not because it's going to be one way or one, your opinion is your opinion. But if there's any more outbursts like that, we're going to ask you to leave. Okay? Well, the Nevada Department of Wildlife was mentioned a couple of times, but we do have a report from them. So if they don't have anything to add to that, I was going to bring them up. Or after public comment, we could allow them to come up if there's a question that needs to be answered. So when we want to, do we have any questions for this? I'll go to public comment and then bring it back to the board too. So if you have any questions for right now? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to public comment. Please state your name for the record and also sign in.
Good morning, Chair Keller, Commissioners. It's great to see you all again. My name is Chloe Chisholm. I'm the Government Relations Advisor for NV Energy. We're here this morning to put our support on the record for the Libra Solar project and to encourage the Commission's support and approval for their request for a conditional use permit that's before you today. As you just heard from their presentation, Arevia is an extremely responsible company and a valued partner of NV Energy's. The Libra Solar project was included in our recently approved integrated resource plan. It was approved by the Public Utilities Commission. That plan adds over 1,000 megawatts of solar power to the state of Nevada as a whole. So we just wanted to thank Lyon County for being a part of that process. We, as mentioned, do have a power purchase agreement with Libra. So the power generated at the Libra solar plant will be serving Nevada's customers for the next 25 years. During this time of increased population growth and demand for utility resources throughout Nevada, the Libra solar project will increase our resource adequacy by providing 700 megawatts of solar power to our state's energy grid. And this will just only further NV Energy's ability to provide reliable electricity to all of our customers, and especially during those peak summer hours when energy demand is at its very highest. And in addition to our power purchase agreement, we also have a 20-year battery storage agreement with this project, which will allow us to store excess energy generated during the day and dispatch it to our customers as needed. Ensuring that we provide reliable power to all of our customers is a core value at NV Energy's, and this project certainly directly supports that mission. And in addition to enhancing reliability and our resource adequacy, the Libra Solar project will provide direct economic benefits to Lyon County. And just to quickly reemphasize what you heard from Mr. Brooks, during the construction phase, Libra will create hundreds of high-paying skilled jobs, and these jobs will stimulate the economy by generating spending at small businesses, local restaurants, hotels, and Libra will also create tax revenue for the county, support local infrastructure improvements, emergency services, other public benefits. So this project is vitally important to supporting the local economy in Lyon County, state of Nevada as a whole. We support the project, we support the application. We urge the commission's support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And public comment.
Yeah, my name is.
Let her sign in real quick.
Yeah, my name is Clint Vaughn. I've been here close to 40 years. I do not believe that this project is good for us at all in this valley. I believe you're a bunch of.
Please address the board. Address the board.
I believe that they're a bunch of city slicker shysters who have to make money. They couldn't care less about this valley. That's what I think. But you know what I think? I think the project needs to be put on hold for the next 4 years because Donald Trump's pulling the rug out from under all this green energy money. And all these people they're having to pay for attorneys to come down here and fight this, shouldn't have to do it at all. I think it needs just, the whole project needs to be shut down. Or have Mineral County build it over there on that military base. What's wrong with that? No, they're shoving it onto us and letting us deal with the traffic, letting us deal with the destruction of our natural resources in these hills. Why don't they repurpose where all those houses are over there in Hawthorne? I think personally that this whole project is a farce for just a bunch of green energy loons to make money. It needs to stop. It needs to end before there's more destruction out there. I'll sign the paper to go.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment? Please refrain from clapping.
Hello, my name is Astria Strawn with Nevada Department of Wildlife, for the record. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. This is regarding this conditional use permit for a 4.7 mile long, 345 kV Gentile lane within the RR5 zoning districts. The department's primary role in project planning processes is to provide meaningful feedback on ways to conserve Nevada's wildlife resources, including those areas designated for the preservation of wildlife habitat within our statutory authority. Over the last 2 years, NDOW has worked closely with BLM, NV Energy, and Arabia Solar on Gentile routes for both Greenlink West and the Libra Solar projects. Both projects initially considered running a transmission line through the Mason Valley Wildlife Management Area. Significant coordination on a suitable transmission line and tie-in route occurred during both of the project planning processes with both the developers and the BLM. Ultimately, the preferred alternative included a northern route alignment, which minimized impacts to the WMA to the greatest degree possible, while allowing the projects to proceed and meet their purpose and need. The alternative is authorized by the BLM for both projects' transmission and tie-in to the Fort Churchill substation. It was determined that this northern route alignment will result in the greatest co-location and reduction in wildlife and other environmental resource impacts. The EIS has analyzed and described this route as the preferred alternative for both projects. The County Commission has since approved the necessary permitting to NV Energy to establish this route for the Greenlink West Gentile and is considering approval for the same route for Libra Solar. The Nevada Department of Wildlife continues to support this northern route alignment, as the northern alignment will reduce direct and indirect impacts to waterfowl, shorebirds, the Mason Valley Sportfish Hatchery, and wildlife habitat within the WMA. The department, BLM, and NV Energy are in the planning stages of retiring the existing corridor through the WMA for the benefit of wildlife. The proposed route will result in the substantial reduction in cumulative impacts to wildlife and the WMA, as it would be co-located with the Greenlink West project. Additional projects proposed in the area can be accommodated via this northern route, thus supporting energy infrastructure and reducing impacts to wildlife resources in the WMA into the future. And finally, routing the Libra transmission line through the WMA will create additional fragmentation of habitat and use by wildlife, particularly migratory birds, as well as a loss of recreational value. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any more public comment? We're given 3 minutes per person, so if you see someone starting to be done talking, you can get in line and we can move this a little faster.
Hi, everybody. Nick Beaton, local resident for the record. I'm not here representing any groups that I am tied to. I'm just here as me. I have lived in Yerington all of my life, outside of 9 years to go to school and start my career. And over the course of that time, I have seen our community shrink. Graduating classes that were well over 100 are now down to closer to 70. We have empty businesses along Main Street. Most of our community is not thriving from an economic sense. I can absolutely 110% empathize with the concerns of our local residents. And I think if this project done responsibly through dust traffic mitigation, the responsibility on the impact to the environment and the local residents, that this would be a benefit for our community. And I'm here to speak in support of that. Thank you.
Still under public comment.
My name is Jim DeChambeau. I'm a 70-year resident of Mason Valley. And I think this project should be shut down completely. I'm against any solar project on any BLM ground for a large number of reasons. One, they create microclimates, and with the heat generated from the solar panel, they close off roads that have been open for hundreds of years. And they restrict our recreation out there. That's a very fragile, delicate area out there. There's a lot of roads out there that there's no possible way they can't keep them all open with the size of this project. The traffic on East Walker Road is going to be horrendous for the people that live there and the people that farm there, trying to move their farm equipment when it's farming season, trying to move their cows. And this whole project seems to me a lot like Jeff Page's Miracle Mine, AKA Nevada Copper, that came in and promised us all kinds of things and is now sitting idle and doing nothing. And I believe any solar project should be put on private ground, not government ground, should be put on government buildings. And I also support Brad Johnson in not expanding the jail. That jail was supposed to be the end all one.
Excuse me, we're talking about a different issue.
Well, it's public comment.
There's public comment on this item.
Okay. Well, I'm against it.
Thank you.
Good morning, Brad Johnston. I'm here on behalf of Matt and Karen Lomry, who own property at the intersection of East Walker Road and Highway 208. I previously submitted written comments in opposition to the application. I'm not going to rehash that. What I would like to note, though, is from today and the application that was submitted to you from Libra. Nothing in the application that was submitted and nothing you heard today addressed the facts and the findings that you have to make to issue and grant a conditional use permit. None of them. The written application was full of conclusions. There's no evidence before you that these findings can be made. What I did hear today, though, was State Parks did not want the solar field accessed via its property. And that NDOT doesn't want the gen tie lines going through the wildlife management area. Realignment of access or the gen tie lines does not address the items that nobody disclosed today that prompted the state of Nevada through State Parks and the Department of Wildlife to oppose this project going through their property. Why wasn't that explained to you? Then when we get to the project, on the one hand, Libra wants to compartmentalize the gen tie lines to say the findings you have to make for a CUP are met. But when they want to tout the benefits to the community, they ignore the gen tie lines. They go to 2 years of construction. They can't have it both ways. The gen tie lines, $2.5 million in taxes over 35 years. That's $71,000 a year to this county. So they know that's not enough. So they tout what construction and the economic impact of the construction phase. They don't address the cost of it, and they can't substantiate the numbers. And they can't substantiate the numbers because they tell you they don't have a labor, housing, or transportation plan for these construction workers. If you don't have that plan in place, you cannot project out this economic benefit. Nor do they address the traffic concerns. How is all the construction traffic going to get to the intersection of Highway 208 and East Walker Road. I live right off Mason Road. Is it the intent to come down, head Mason Road, across the 208? Where? They don't tell us that. It's like all the construction traffic is gonna be magically transported and just dropped right there on East Walker Road. You have to make findings that this project will not affect the health, safety, and welfare of this community. That finding cannot be met. And these projections of the money generated from construction, they're pie in the sky. There's nothing there, no explanation of it, and it's empty. Additionally, the county manager already said, you can't consider all these big dollar numbers that Libra is throwing out about community benefit agreements. That's not relevant in these findings. In fact, if you were to include that in the findings, it would probably most likely be illegal type of contract zoning or granting of a CUP in exchange for payment to other community groups. So we oppose the project and hope you'll deny the CUP. Yes. You want me to sign or write my name?
Write your name.
Comment?
I'm 73 years old. I've lived through some of this facetious
Please address the board.
lies. Okay? All this pie in the sky crap, we've seen it before. They are subsidized by things that may not be here 2 years from now. They lost me when I talked about being in partnership with the IBEW, the Electricians Union. Guess what? Those jobs, whatever jobs they are, aren't gonna come from local people because those unions, yeah, there isn't anybody in this town, as far as they're concerned, that are qualified. I know that we're not as healthy as we used to be. That's all there is to it. But to believe that this Mickey Mouse project built on public lands and funded by public tax dollars, subsidized on the backs of our citizens, that's pie in the sky. They're not gonna spend their money here, and if they do, it's gonna be a temporary shot in the arm. And we're gonna have to put up with the rest of that for 35 years. And hopefully that penny-ass bond that they put up will cover the restoration of that project, of which nobody has an idea of the damage it's gonna do in the 35 years of its estimated life. I think the project is ill-conceived and ill-advised, and it does nothing but create a detriment and a problem for the people of this county. Thank you.
Do I have a public comment? Did you sign in?
He did.
I'm Greg Morrison. I'm here on behalf of Wesley and Beverly Smith, residents of East Walker Road. As a threshold matter, East Walker Road is not an established public roadway. This isn't the time or the place to litigate that. There is a time and a place to litigate that. I would urge the county manager to take a closer look at the documents. He stated, do not have any notes on them stating that East Walker Road is not a county road. Regardless of that, we've heard a lot of talk about mitigation and hey, we can mitigate all these traffic impacts. So let's look at the numbers that we're going to be trying to mitigate here. The Smiths have stated that they think their home is going to become uninhabitable. As a good neighbor, Libra has called that position cheap hyperbole and a naked negotiating tactic. I'm not sure how that's being a good neighbor. But so first 15 years, there was about 10,500 trips on East Walker Road per year. That's the Smiths baseline. Since the Walker River State Recreation Area opened, there's been an additional 27,000 vehicle trips on that road. That's the peak in 2023. So let's break those numbers down. That's 103 vehicles a day, 75 of which access the SRA. That's 9 vehicles an hour, if limited to 12 hours for the sake of comparison. 8 heading to the SRA, 1 local trip. So even with that limited use, the Nevada is working diligently to find an alternative route to the SRA with 8 trips an hour. Libra wants to send construction and employee traffic down East Walker Road 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, an estimated 540,000 vehicle trips per year. That's 1,500 vehicles per day, none of them local. That's 125 vehicles per hour. That's more than a vehicle every 30 seconds heading down East Walker Road. Those 125 vehicles per hour would pass 30 feet away from the Smith's home. So I would ask the commission to consider, is the Smith's position that would make their property uninhabitable? Is that cheap hyperbole? Is that patently untrue? You know, the whether or not East Walker Road is a public road is a matter of quite a bit of discussion. I do not believe the county manager adequately looked into the issue. I believe his conclusion is wrong. But you can look at the documents already provided and my letter opposing this. You can look at Libra's response as a good neighbor to that letter. And you can hopefully deny the CUP as urged by the Smiths.
Thank you. We're still in public comment.
My name is Frank Doporon from Yerington, Nevada, 3rd generation Nevada. My dad was born in 1913 in Nordike, Nevada. I'm a 3rd, so. And I'd like to address the board here. Mr. Huckaday, I'd like to talk to you. There was a water meeting, there was a meeting over in the city hall. And you said, a guy raised that, you jumped up and said you took care of it. You'll take care of it because you represent us. You said at the meeting. This district. Okay, I would like to know where they are getting the water to do what they're going to do. If they get East Walker Road, the road they're talking about, where is the water coming from? Where is the water coming from for the solar plant and stuff? That's what I'd like to know, where that's all coming from. Nevada is I don't know, hard to get water and stuff. And I know if they get water, it's got to be primary water. Can't be secondary water. I don't know if you guys understand what that is. Some of you probably do. But they have to go through the state to get that. And right now, there's no record that they put in for a well or got water. And the closest water there is Buckskin Mine. Not Buckskin Mine, but Pumpkin Hollow. And the city is furnishing water to Pumpkin Hollow. So if that's the case where they're getting the water, I'm not saying they are. The city's furnishing Pumpkin Hollow water. Does Pumpkin Hollow got the right to take that water and furnish the solar plant? Thank you very much for your time. And I appreciate you spending 3 minutes with us to hear such a very important subject.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bruce Park. I'm the oldest guy in this room. I own a ranch next to East Walker Road. And first question I'd like to ask you, if you know, is this Biden's money or is it Trump money that we're spending or they are spending? And I want to know if you know that. Is it leftover Biden money? And second question is. Does Musk know about this? And if he does. Is he gonna put an end to this? Or not? I don't know, but that's a question. Where. This issue is at risk because Musk is out there somewhere. I don't know. So, this is kind of new to me. It's come to my attention, so I went down to this building the other day and found out who owns what and what. So, it come to my attention that I own East Walker Road, half a mile of it. Not according to the records. Did anybody ask me? No. Belongs to some big shot somewhere. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me who owns it, but according to the records, my family owns that road. You can tell me right now. Is it true? According to the records, we own it. Now, maybe you can inform me if I'm wrong, so I go back home and punch sand, or should I be involved in this? I'm a citizen and my family and the family previous that's been paying taxes on that road for years and years and years. And what would you like me to do? Do I say I own it, or do you tell me I don't, or you're going to get my tax money back over all the years I've been paying taxes on it? I don't know what to do, and I'm not a politician, so I don't want to make trouble with anybody. But I know the law from the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, and the things I hear, I don't know if I know much of anything anymore. But I would like to get advice from you and to see what rights I do have. But according to the paperwork that I received yesterday, I own both sides of the road on East Walker Road. And no one asked me to buy it or sell it. No one told me anything, but I know that taxes have been paid for a lot of years. And no one ever said anything to me about anything. So am I a player or am I not? And I want to cooperate. No, I don't want to be a pig about anything. I just want to be treated fairly. So
Okay, your time's up and.
yes, I'm done.
Okay, and then
I signed my name, so I'm done, and wish you the best and ask for fairness.
thank you.
My name is Beverly Smith. I live at 300 East Walker Road. My house, all this traffic is gonna go by. I just wanted to bring up something that no one has talked about today. Libra has applied for a second phase out there, 3,000 more acres, 2 more plus years of construction going down our road. It's not gonna be 2 years, it's gonna be 4 or more. And they already have got in their application that they're gonna use East Walker Road without any other alternatives on that road. So this is gonna make my house unsellable. It's gonna ruin our way of life for the entire time that these guys are gonna do construction. And I would be willing to bet that it's gonna be even more than 5 years. So I ask that you guys deny this special use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Phil Borsini, lifelong resident here. Family been farming here for 100 years. The main concerns that I have is the amount of traffic. From what I heard on this reports today, how we farm on different parts of the valley from one end to the other. How do we move equipment? How do we get across this valley? I don't think any of you people are realizing the amount of traffic that it's going to take. And I don't think you would want Highway 80 at your neighborhood either. And so the main concerns is we really are going to be impacted here in a big way, that how it's going to impact our lives, everything, with the amount of people and the amount of traffic. Is there an alternative way of getting there? That we should look at it. Please consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment?
Seventy years old. I've been running that country ever since I was a little kid. I'm cowboy for flying them, took care of cattle up in the whole works. That's a wilderness area. They shouldn't have none of those solar panels up there. Another thing what we're looking at is you guys ought to think about how many millions and millions and millions of dollars there is on this road, just in farm equipment and hay fields. For these guys to come in from Las Vegas and destroy our way of life. That's all I can say. When you guys live here, you better be thinking about it a little bit. If we don't want Reno here. I've been here all my life. Think about the farmers, not these guys. We don't need their energy.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment in the room? Seeing none, I'll go online. I have Jacob Ross.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. My name is Jacob Haas. I am the business manager for IBW Local 401 that if this project gets approved would supply the manpower for this project. We have done other projects like this in rural areas like Battle Mountain, Winnemucca, and different areas. And we always try to recruit and hire local workforce. And that's where we reach out to first is the local community and give opportunities for apprenticeship for people in the community and give them the opportunity for a career that this could develop into. We also do lots of donations throughout the public communities. We donate a lot to the Boys and Girls Clubs. I am a Lyon County resident as well and a native Nevadan. Born and raised in Lovelock, Nevada, so I understand some of the politics of the smaller communities. But if this project does go through, we will definitely support the community and financially and trying to get local workforce and give people opportunities to grow in a career through the electrical field. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment in the room? Seeing none, we close public comment at this time. Mr. Hoskins, can you come up and bring us back into what we're actually looking over? Because I heard a bunch about the project, about this other stuff, and I think that a lot of the public comment that we heard was addressing not what's before us.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So this conditional use permit is for the power lines in the Busk area going around the current utility corridor that exists in our master plan. It goes around the wildlife area. So it's I think what 4 miles, 4.7 miles of power lines. So that's what the conditional use permit is for. You know, staff addressed. So the reason we're even talking about East Walker Road is staff was trying to address impacts from construction as a part of that, and that's why it was included as a condition in the conditional use permit to try and get that addressed. However, the solar field has nothing to do with the conditional use permit. That was already approved by BLM. That was already approved by Mineral County, where the project is actually located. Now, Lyon County was a cooperating agency throughout the BLM process. We recommended several other different roads that for one reason or another BLM did not pick based on impacts and whatnot. So this is the road that is approved for this project from BLM. We don't really get a say in that at this point. So we're just trying to mitigate the impacts to folks out there through the conditions and the conditional use permit.
So the project itself was done in a different county, but they had no control over us. This is BLM land, which was recommended and approved by BLM, nothing to do with us.
Right.
And so if there's a lot of public outcry about that, those are the places they should have went to in the first place. And if we see projects coming in that you don't like in other counties, that type of stuff, that's where you go, is address your concerns in that county, because we have no jurisdiction over that other county. So I just wanted to bring that back, you know, whether they survive or whether they, how they get their funding or anything else, that's not what's before us.
Correct. It is just the power lines that are here.
Any questions from the board?
Well, it's basically part of our findings and conditions here with the roads, because we've included that as part of our recommendations. And that's where I have a problem with the findings. But, you know, like item G, proposed condition will not be material detrimental to public health, safety, welfare, and will not result in material damage or prejudice. So we are adding that in because, yes, they have to get out to work on the Gentai. But fact is, they've got to use that road, which, whether you agree or not, it's been a public road. We just have some real reservations on additional conditions and stuff that we're looking at for the use of that road. So that's kind of where I am. I understand we're looking at just the Gentai, and we've got the backup information, everything else on the fact that they don't like it through the wildlife management area, and that things will change. They're going to, as I said before, they're going to probably remove that line that's already across the wildlife management area and put it north where Libra is going to be putting this Gentai. But I still have a problem with the addition of the conditions for road.
Mr. Casanelli.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I agree with Commissioner Hockaday. And as Commissioner Keller stated, the solar project is we have no solar without it's already through Monroe County. This is the transmission lines that go through Lyon, and I don't have a problem with that. However, I do have a lot of concerns over the road, and we heard those figures earlier. A vehicle approximately every 30 seconds. I don't know if that is accurate, but it's definitely concerning. And I would like to see further clarifications on the road improvements and how that can be handled.
So the applicant, I think, can provide a little bit of, I don't know, if you guys want to provide a little bit of clarification on the number of trips on the traffic.
There was a lot of statements made on, you know, the hundreds and, you know, every 30 seconds of traffic, and I think it's a little exaggerated. So
Just say your name again.
Yeah, sorry, this is Ricardo Groff. I'm a co-owner of Revia Power, one of the owners of the Leaper Solar Project.
What do you think on there?
So the project itself would generate traffic, yes, but the EIS requires that we have carpooling and van pooling. So we've already identified some locations throughout Lyon County where the workers would end up from a carpooling perspective, and then they would van pool into the site. In the Gemini Solar Project that I mentioned that we had a lot of experience on with Clark County, we had retired buses that were repurposed that can hold anywhere between 70 to 90 individuals get into these buses and go to the job site. That will be, in practice, what we're going to be contemplating here on this project. So to say every 30 seconds, that's accounting for every possible worker that's on site. And I think it's a little disingenuous and not factual about actually how we're going to do this in general.
Thank you. Commissioner Hendricks.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. You did that on the Gemini project. It's the same size project. So based on that experience, you should have a pretty accurate idea of how many trips per day.
So our construction contractor is going to be required to put together a transportation plan that will give us an exact calculation of how many workers. So if on average, you know, roughly, I'm not going to, this is not something committed to, but like you could do the math. If it's 800 workers at its peak time, obviously this is when it's at its height, you might have 80 workers, and you know, that's 10 individual buses, right, that are coming to the project site for construction. So that's what we're talking about is, even though the workforce is large once it gets to the site, they are consolidated per bus to actually get from the van pulling location to the project site.
So instead of 800 trips, it's 10 trips or 8 or 10 trips.
Anywhere between, you could have, yeah, like you're right, 10 trips to 25 trips, depending on how many buses and the capacity for the buses. But these will be buses that will bring in the workers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haskins, back up.
Get my exercise today.
So, my question is, can we restrict anybody from being on a county road?
No, so I mean, a public road is open to the public. There are some limited instances with a conditional use permit if there's other access, but in this case, BLM this determined that this is.
Right now, as that sits, that's a county road.
Right, correct.
And anybody can drive down that road as many times as they want to.
Correct.
So we're talking about on a conditional use permit, whether or not we would require to pave it. Basically.
Correct.
But if we don't, then they can drive it down that road on a dirt road. So we can address drainage, we can address other factors with the road. So there's the benefits of having that under the CUP.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the conditional use permit is beneficial from that aspect. So. One of the questions that we talked about internally, and I would say it was my decision to include East Walker Road as a part of this conditional use permit process. When we met with staff and we met with the company, it was my decision to include that in there to try and mitigate impacts to residents. So, all right, but the project really is 20 miles north of there. I have had many discussions here in this room at board meetings about how we address solar projects on federal land. One of the ideas that I've talked about with this board is through our conditional use permit process with transmission lines, trying to address the impacts of the overall project, because as you know, Lyon County doesn't have any jurisdiction over BLM land. It's up to BLM to, as far as planning is concerned, I should say, because it's up to BLM, they have their own process that we don't have any control over what the federal government does, right? But most of those transmission lines do at some point have to cross private property or go outside of that utility corridor, and so that is why the road is in there. We're trying to address those impacts of the road.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people understand this. So I'm going to ask this question. If this project, if this CUP was denied, it would not limit their ability to access that road in any way, would it?
Correct.
So really, all we can do is condition it to mitigate the issues for the residents, no matter how much we sympathize with what they're going to have to deal with.
Correct. As I said before, I mean, we were a part of the BLM process. I submitted numerous letters, this board submitted letters, through that process, that was still determined to be the best route for their project. I sat in meetings for 2 years. We had other staff that were sitting in cooperating agency meetings. At no point you will see a letter of support from Lyon County on that, on the use of East Walker Road. We did submit one letter saying that if that was to be used, then we felt that it should be paved. And so that's where the condition comes in there.
So the conditions, the way they're stated right now, it does give those property owners a real say in what happens, whether it's paved or not, right?
Through that section, as the conditions are stated, yes, it would.
Okay.
So I agree with that. The whole thing is that we're trying to do the benefit, trying to help the residents of that area through the special use permit process. If we don't go through this, you have no say, not anything whatsoever. It's a county road. They can use it as they like. The project's in a different county and they've already got approval from BLM. So I just wondered, that's where I'm headed with this, to protect the landowners. Any other comments?
Yeah, just point of clarification. Had the transmission lines remained in the existing right of way, then we wouldn't even be sitting here today discussing it whatsoever. I mean, we would have no say at all.
Right.
Right, but with it as it is, moving it outside, we do have the right to condition it as what's before us today.
Right.
So, I mean, it's one way to look at it, so.
Yeah, if there was no conditional use permit required at all, their BLMEIS still would require a road maintenance agreement, but that doesn't necessarily include improvements, and I feel like the way that it is conditioned, it better mitigates the impacts. I mean, water was brought up a bunch. I mean, if through a road maintenance agreement, if that road were to, if the entire section of the road were to remain dirt, now how much water would that require to be for dust mitigation, right? So by paving the road, it does limit that kind of thing. It addresses drainage, it addresses other things.
And there's other things can be addressed, like so they can sleep at night and maybe give their Sundays off so there's not traffic going through and those type of things for, you know, quality of life in that area. And right now, we don't have that.
Correct.
So, any more questions? With that being said, do we have a motion?
Based on findings A through G and subject to conditions 1 through 13, I move that the Board of County Commissioners approves the request by Libra Solar for a conditional use permit to allow the construction, operation, and maintenance of an approximately 4.7 miles long 345 kV generation tie line connecting the Libra Solar project to the Fort Churchill substation on State of Nevada and Bureau of Land Management lands located on a 113.8 acre portion of 5 parcels totaling 17,748.13 acres. The parcels are located on the north side of COA, approximately 2.25 miles east of Highway 95 Alt and 9.5 miles north of Yerington in the RR5, 5th Rural Residential 20 acres zoning district in Mason Valley. APNs 014 09107 014 13101 014 14101 34101 03 and 04 PLZ 2024-071.
Second. I'll second it. To vote, those in favor say aye. Aye.
Right.
Those against,
No,
motion passes 3-0 with Commissioner Hockaday against. At this time, I'm going to go ahead. Is there anything we needed?
Found finding G, the reason you're voting against
Finding
this,
G.
road concerns.
yes.
Okay, thanks. Just want to make sure we had that.
At this time, I'm going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. It's 10:08. 11:08, excuse me.
Yeah. It is. Been out there. Next,
All right, I'd like to bring back. Ron, 13 for possible action, approve a memorandum of understanding with the Lyon County School District for the Resource Officer Program. The MOU is an amendment to the current 2024, excuse me, let me start over. 2024 to 25 school year agreement, allocating an additional 25,000 for a new total of 385,000 from LCSD for an additional one SRO in the Fernley area for the remainder of the year, set to expire June 30th, 2025. Jeff?
Met with the school district superintendent and staff. My SRO in Fernley is doing it right, therefore she is a little bit overwhelmed with reports and calls for service. Later warranted another school resource officer. In this case, it's going to be a sergeant transferred out of our jail. To assist her and oversee the SRO program as it grows. The school district said that they cannot provide a full position. However, we were going to make that move anyway. This position, the school district is going to give us $60,000 for the school year. That $25,000 is prorated for the rest of the school year. Next school year, it'll be the full 60,000. So that move takes place tomorrow. And, like I said, we're most likely going to have to make this move regardless of receiving funding from the school.
Any questions for the sheriff? Any public comment? Anybody online? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding with the Lyon County School Districts for the Resource Officer SRO program. This memorandum of understanding is an amendment to the current 2024-2025 school year agreement, allocating an additional 25,000 for a new total of 385,000 from Lyon County School District for an additional one SRO in the Fernley area for the remainder of the year, set to expire June 30, 2025.
Second.
Have a excuse me. I have a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Castanelli. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 14, Human Services. 14A for possible action, approve a contract between Lyon County and Second Chances not to exceed 24,000 for services funded through the fiscal year 2025 Nevada Local Justice Reinvestment Grant from the state of Nevada Department of Sentencing Policy. Who's here to present this? Dr. Holmes?
Good morning, Dr. Shayla Holmes, Director, Lyon County Human Services. We were able to utilize some of our justice reinvestment funds to start building a community court program to help divert and deflect individuals with law enforcement issues that are experiencing those due to homelessness, substance use, or mental health issues. And so this is a contract for us to be able to use a provider to start doing those services for individuals coming into community court.
Any questions? Any public comment? Seeing none online, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve a contract between Lyon County and Second Chances not to exceed 24,000 for services funded through the fiscal year 2025 Nevada Local Justice Reinvestment Grant from the State of Nevada Department of Sentencing Policy.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Castanelli, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Brings us up to number 15. Comptroller. 15A for possible action, approve the purchase of 7 new vehicles for the sheriff's office in the amount of $475,000 to be funded from a budget transfer from the general fund contingency.
Josh Foley, sheriff said I had to do this one, it was, he has a gun behind me. No, I'm just teasing.
No gun violence.
No violence. So we are in a situation where the vehicles, when deputies bring or sworn staff bring their vehicles in for maintenance, routine maintenance, there are no loaners available to provide them so they can go out and do their job while vehicles are being worked on for routine maintenance or even repairs, and those type of things. When we came last year and asked for 10 vehicles, we said truly what was needed was 17, but we didn't feel justified asking for all 17 when we didn't have all the positions filled. Well, we're having all the positions. I think we're down one that he's in the process of hiring. Sworn in March 10th. So we have a full staff for the first time in maybe a decade, perhaps, maybe a little shorter than that, but pretty close to that. And we've had a number of vehicles go out recently. I think there's 5 of them in the last 2 weeks that are, 3 of them are totaled, 2 of them are damaged and in the repair shop. So we're at a critical mass at this point, and so that's why we're here asking for these vehicles at this point.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Commissioner Arcaday.
Chairman Feller. I had just heard, do we have a $25,000 deductible on the damages to our vehicles?
We have a $25,000 deductible for any claim that we have on our insurance. So per vehicle, that is correct, $25,000 deductible. The reason we have a $25,000 deductible up until the past 2 or 3 weeks is because it was significantly less expensive to get a premium on our insurance with a $25,000 deductible. At the point when you start having multiple $25,000 deductibles in a fiscal year, then it becomes more of a challenge. But we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars by having the $25,000 deductible. You are correct, though. It is $25,000.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Casanelli.
Yeah, I just had a question. I didn't see it in the packet here, but the 475,000, is that just for the vehicle acquisition or is that for outfitting the vehicles as well? Is that the total cost?
Total cost, outfitting runs between outfitting and graphics and those type of things, you run between $14,000 and $16,000 per vehicle. And then you've got a few other incidentals that come up on top of that.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Any public comment? Seeing none online, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 7 new vehicles for the sheriff's office in the amount of $475,000 to be funded from a budget transfer from the general fund contingency.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Huckaday, seconded by Commissioner Casanelli. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Brings us to number 16, County Manager for possible action, approve a proclamation dedicating the Fernley Senior Center after former County Commissioner Leroy Goodman, and to authorize $2,000 for the purchase of a plaque to be funded from a budget transfer from the general fund contingency.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So I do apologize. I forgot to put on there that this was an item requested by Commissioner Keller. But yeah, the proclamation is in there. The $2,000 is based on what it has been costing us for similar plaques. I consulted with Director Homestead, our facilities director, and he said that's what it's been costing us. And also included as late backup is a letter from Congressman Amedee supporting this decision. So happy to answer any questions.
I'd like to take this time right now because we don't very often get a letter from the Congress of the United States. So I was gonna read it in and that way, it's on the recorder.
Perfect.
Dear Lyon County Commissioners, I'm writing to express my strong support for dedicating the Friendly Senior Center in memory of the Honorable Delbert Leroy Goodman. I had the pleasure of knowing Leroy as a friend and colleague for over 3 decades. Leroy served Nevada and the community of Friendly for over 40 years with honor and distinction. As a proud native Nevadan who lived most of his life in Friendly, Leroy served on the Friendly Town Advisory Board, the Lyon County Commission, and as mayor of Friendly. He was also a respected teacher and coach at the Friendly High School for many years. Additionally, as a fellow veteran, I'm especially proud of Leroy's service in the United States Air Force, Air National Guard, where he retired as Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you for consideration of this deserving recognition for such a dignified and honorable leader from Friendly and Lyon County, Nevada. Signed by Mark Amity. Okay. Proclamation. A proclamation of the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners dedicating the Friendly Senior Center located at 104 Lois Lane, Friendly, Nevada, in memory of Leroy Goodman. Whereas Delbert Leroy Goodman was known to all as Leroy Goodman, whereas Leroy Goodman was a distinguished citizen of Friendly and Lyon County, whereas Leroy Goodman serves his country in the United States Air Force and then Nevada National Guard. Whereas Leroy Goodman served the state of Nevada as ambassador under the appointment of Governor Richard Bryan. Whereas Leroy Goodman served on the Lyon County Commission from 1997 to 2009. Whereas Leroy Goodman served his community of Friendly as mayor from 2009 to 2014. And whereas the Lyon County Commission recognizes that Leroy Goodman, a native Nevadan, dedicated over 40 years of service to his community, country, state, and community, county, state, and country. Therefore, let it be proclaimed by the Lyon County Board of Commissioners that the Friendly Senior Center located at 104 Lois Lane, Nevada, be dedicated in memory of Leroy Goodman, passed, adopted, and approved on this 20th day of February 2025. Is there any comments? Any public comment? And on this one, I would like to make the motion to approve a proclamation dedicating the Friendly Senior Center after former County Commissioner Leroy Goodman and to authorize $2,000 for the purchase of a plaque to be funded from a budget transfer from the general fund contingency.
Second.
I have a motion by myself, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. This brings us to 17, agenda request. Do we have any agenda requests? Some comments. Go to public participation. Do we have any public participation? Any online? Seeing none? Okay, we're going to recess to a closed session. So we're going to adjourn the regular meeting and go into closed session. Thank you. It is 11:34.